Welcome to the stage here at StocktonCon, Emmy or Golden Globe nominee and Tony nominated actor Lou Diamond
Emmy
Phillips.
as well.
Emmy as well.
Two-time
yes.
Emmys. Yeah.
Two-time Emmy. Yes. Yeah. There you go.
So you got to get it right.
Yes, absolutely. Well, thank you. And how's your experience been at StocktonCon so far?
It has been fantastic. I mean, my God, it's been wall to wall, and I'm so touched and gratified by the reception. It was wonderful. Getting here was a freaking nightmare, but it was fun. Yeah, man, I came in from New York, where I live now, and was supposed to get a connection in Denver. And the lady next to me, she goes, "We just passed Denver." I went, "Oh, what's going on?" And you never want to hear the pilot say this. They wanted us to circle, but we don't have enough gas. So it's like, maybe we ought to go to the gas station. So they diverted us to Albuquerque, and we had to do a gas and go. And then I thought, I'm not going to make my flight, the connection, but that got pushed back too. So thank goodness. So I ran from the gate, from one gate to the next, and made it. Thank goodness. And but didn't get in until the wee hours last night.
One thing I want to talk about you first is they know you for your acting ability, but also your singing ability, and The King and I, which, the iconic role of Yul Brynner. I mean, if someone saw The King and I, especially when I was growing up, it was Yul Brynner. Yeah. And you reprised that role. You got a Tony nomination for it as well. And how is that to go into a role that's so iconic by such a person like Yul Brynner?
Yeah, man, that's a great question. It's funny because when they first approached me, I thought, well, my gosh, that, like you said, it's iconic. I mean, why would you want to follow that? And then I said, I'm going to read the script first. Read the script, amazing, brilliant. Relevant today still. And then I watched the movie and I thought, okay, if Yul has done everything there is to do, then there's no point in doing it. But I watched it and was like, he missed that joke. I'm going to hit that joke, and because it was the 50s, there was the sort of the sexuality was sort of not as overt, it wasn't as sexy, it wasn't as edgy. The dude had 97 kids. There was something going on in the palace. I tell you that right now. So, we leaned into the sexiness of it. We leaned into the grittiness of it. And then the themes that were there, and this was 96, 97, of misogyny and colonialism and racism and all this other stuff. And it was like, wow, it has so much to say about this. And what was brilliant is you have this king who goes, okay, I'm stuck in my ways. But, to get into the next century, to keep my country from being overwhelmed, I have to teach my son to be better than me. And that was such a brilliant angle on things. And I absolutely loved doing that project.
And the fact that you have some singing ability. Obviously, you had the rock band in the 90s. Yeah. And the Masked Singer, later on, yeah. And doing a lot of that different, work there. And then also you're a writer, your book, Tinderbox.
Yes.
Sci-fi writer.
I got a couple of them at the table. The first one is the Tinderbox Soldier of Indira that came out in 2019. It did so well. We wrote a sequel. My wife is responsible for both of those, quite honestly. Yeah, I wrote them. But the original idea, she was going to be, this was in the 90s. She was cool before it was cool. She was going to do, this graphic novel kind of inspired by Hans Christian Andersen's The Tinderbox. And I saw these drawings and I went, holy, that's a movie. We should make the movie. She goes, yeah, well, go ahead and write it. Well, at the time, this was before Game of Thrones. So I set it in space. Because her drawings, because they were manga, they reminded me of Star Wars a little bit, and how they borrowed so much from Kurosawa. George Lucas really leaned into the samurai aspect of that. I mean, Obi-Wan Kenobi, the dude ain't from Kansas, So, so I wrote this, and then when I finished writing the screenplay, I went, nobody's going to give me this much money to direct it. And so my manager said, well, write the book, and then that way you've created the world, and if James Cameron wants to give you a lot of money, you at least established what the story is. But the book did so well that we started thinking about a sequel, and I was taking a certain approach. I thought we were going to plunder fairy tales again. And what's wonderful is that it's sci-fantasy. It's not fully science fiction. It's very much like, Star Wars meets Game of Thrones. And then one day, Yvonne just went, how about this? And she laid a storyline on me, and I was like, it's like she had pulled it right from between the lines of the first book, because it is so organic and so authentic to the story, and it's really cute. Guys, we got some young people here. It's like when we first published it, they goes, "Yeah, it's a really great YA novel," and I was like, I didn't set out to write a YA novel. I mean, my heroes were 18 and 19 or 17 and 18, I think. So and it's like, I don't think Shakespeare decided Romeo and Juliet was going to be a YA play, But I left the categorizations up to them. But it's fun, and the reviews have been wonderful, and the reception for those have been great. Plus, in each book, my wife did all the illustrations, so those are really cool to look at.
Well, and what I read about your wife's artwork was that was one of the inspirations behind it.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, it wouldn't exist if it wasn't for her drawing, and she's gotten into it a lot more lately. So, and I have little bookmarks in the books that will lead you to her IG page and all her other amazing art.
And then also her, I guess, growing up in Germany and also being involved with all the storytelling there, too.
Yeah, I mean, she's been an artist from, Jump Street, where, we met on a film set. She was my makeup and hair artist for a very long time, and then became a, stay-at-home mom, and our daughter Indigo is homeschooled, so she's become this amazing teacher. But, yeah, she's my sounding board for, when I do writing. I'm actually working on my third novel, which was a book that I wrote in college when I was 20. And, I look back at it now and it's like, dude, you were a pretentious but my writing has gotten better. I've gotten more of a sense of humor, and that wisdom and experience is going into rewriting it. But it's also another opportunity for her to do some amazing artwork, and I think we're going to go full color on this next one.
I'm wondering about the absolute zaniness that happened during the big hit with you and with Avery and Wahlberg, because again, it looks like that was just a lot of fun.
Dude, it's people always say, what's the most fun you've had on a set? Young Guns, both 1 and 2, and the big hit. And then a couple of the comedies I've done, like Psych and Brooklyn Nine-Nine, where I just crack up all the time. But the director was Che Kirk Wong, and it was his first American film in North America. And the big hit was so ahead of its time, man. It is a Hong Kong action, hip-hop black comedy. The studio didn't know what to do with it, But we opened up at #1, But and they came to see me on Broadway because they wanted somebody really, with a big presence for that role, for Cisco. And Kirk just let me go, man. He would say things like, Lou, you be funny today. I said, well, today I'm killing people, Kirk. Yeah, I know, you be funny. And then every once in a while, I would ad-lib, stuff, and I could hear him from the monitor be like, too much, Lou, come back. So yeah, there's a funny story. So I'm in the wardrobe fitting, and we do all the wardrobes, and I go, we're missing one. And the wardrobe supervisor says, what? I said, the locker room. But, I didn't see a costume for the locker room. She goes, let me get the director. And I think, oh, okay. So Kirk comes in. I said, Kirk, what do you want me wearing in the locker room? Like underwear, or, like sweats or something. He goes, oh, no, you wear nothing. I'm like, Kirk, thank you, but you realize I'm in that scene with a couple of underwear salesmen, okay? I got, Mark Wahlberg and Antonio Sabato, known for being naked. My butt does not, compare. No, you look good, don't worry.
Nice. There was a rumor going around that after you finished filming La Bamba, Ritchie Valens' mom came up to you, gave you a hug, and said, thank you for giving me back my son. Is there any truth to that?
That is 100% true. Yeah, but she didn't come up to me. First of all, she was there every single day of the film shoot, and I literally just saw Irma and Mario, his little sister and little brother, about 3 weeks ago, because there's a brand new, and if you're a big fan of La Bamba, I got to tell you got to look this up. There is a brand new coffee table book of behind-the-scenes photos taken by Merrick Morton that have never been seen. This beautiful coffee table book of these black and white photos of all the whole cast, obviously behind the scenes, but the family as well. And Connie was there. Connie Sr. was there the entire time. On the very first day of filming up in Watsonville, The van pickup is like 6 o'clock, right? But at 5:30, there's a knocking on my door, and it's Connie. And she's going, "Ritchie, time to go to work," you know. So this was our relationship, and it was at the $1 Million Theater downtown. Tom Bradley was the mayor of L.A. at the time, and they had done a Ritchie Valens Day, and so the whole family was there. And I was standing on stage, and Tom Bradley was making a speech, and Connie was in a wheelchair because she had an illness that she didn't tell anybody about, and it was ended up being fatal. But she held on to see the movie come out. She held on to see the movie come out. And as Tom Bradley's speaking, I felt somebody take my hand, and I looked down, and it was Connie, and she looked up at me and she said, "Thank you for giving me my son back." He's amazing. Amazing.
You did a movie shortly after La Bamba came out called Dakota.
Yes.
And that movie, at the time, I was, like 13, 14 years old when it came out. And it was shown at just about every youth group sleepover I attended. So I am curious what memories you have of making that film, and what has stuck with you about it? What resonated with you?
It's funny because one of my very, 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 very first films, my first film ever actually, was a movie called Angel Alley, which was a Christian youth film, and the Kuntz brothers produced that and wrote it. Fred Holmes directed it. Fred, a dear friend, and then we did Harley, which is basically, Kmart Dakota, and Dakota's the same movie, but they ended up getting more money for it and whatever else, and then it was always the plan to do it, and then I got very lucky and got La Bamba, so Dakota was able to ride on those coattails. Shot it in Texas with a bunch of friends of mine, and as a matter of fact, Jim Wren, the cinematographer on that, he was a dear friend. I worked on a lot of films with him, and he was the DP on the movie I directed, Sioux City. Once again, Tantu Cardinal. I was one of the first people to cast her after Dancing with the Wolves. So, and Gary Farmer, who's a dear friend, and I also got him on Longmire. So once again, I mean that was just at the beginning of the career to realize that if you have a chance to work with friends, if you have a chance to give those opportunities to people that you know and trust, that has sort of been, something I've been able to continue to do, throughout my career. I've done 2 films with Eddie Olmos. I've done 5 with Kiefer, maybe 6, So it is always wonderful to work with people who you have this sort of unspoken chemistry with.
You did a season of Southland. I think it was season 4. How did you prep for that? It's kind of a gritty cable, police drama, and to me it seemed realistic.
I really, really think that Southland was underseen and underappreciated because, man, I think that was the best cop show since the original Hill Street Blues.
Started on NBC.
Yeah.
Season 1.
Yeah, and then got moved to USA where they had smaller budgets and whatnot, which is too bad. Fortunately for me, I mean, the cop things are like really, really in my wheelhouse. I've played so many of them, and back in the day, I did so much research. For the first Power, I rode around with Detective Bob Grogan, who was on the task force to catch the Hillside Stranglers, and going to the range and all this stuff, learning procedure. For numbers, I had God, what was his name? I think it was Pinky, actually. He was an actual FBI sniper. So a lot of times I've had great tech advisors for the Night Stalker. I hung out with Detective Gil Carrillo, who was on the Night Stalker task force. He was one of the co-leads. So, just getting a sense of the real deal. And that show, I mean, when the writing is really, really good, you don't have to, you just commit to it, commit to the bit, as they say. I mean, Ben McKenzie and Sean Hannessy and C. Thomas Howell, who I love, and he plays kind of a jerk on that show, right? So we kept trying to pitch, me and him, because I'm a jerk on that show too, in my arc. It's like, get this, we'll do a whole new show. We'll call it the Patrol. It's me and C. Thomas, just being jerks.
Lately, I've been hearing a lot of buzz on YouTube about Young Guns 3. Is that happening?
Yeah. I mean, Young Guns 3 is happening. You know, I literally spoke to Emilio last week. He's got some stuff, some T's to cross and I's to dot, but we're hoping to shoot, I think, at the end of September, and have it out by next year. And everybody goes, "But you died in Young Guns 2." Well, you know, we explain that. And I point out to everybody, there was nobody on the back of the spirit horse. Okay? So right now, Christian Slater, who died off camera as well, supposedly. So Christian and I are going to be back. And there's some other characters that are fantastic that Emilio is casting now. So I think he'll be bringing in a few other names. And it's great because, I mean, historically, and he wrote it with John Fusco, who is an amazing, researcher. And so he aged us all up to the right ages, and that puts us right in the Mexican Revolution. And so Pancho Villa is actually a character in the beginning of the film as well. So, yeah, it's fun stuff. But, total legit Western, absolutely.
Okay, all right, thank you.
You bet, thank you.
Well, what are some things you love about playing in the Old West?
It's funny, man, because theater trained. I went to the University of Texas at Arlington, and so very used to playing different characters and supporting or lead or comedy or drama or whatever it is, classics. And when you get into the movie world, when you're doing a Western and you're putting on all the clothes and you're going to those sets, or you're doing a sci-fi and you're having to do green screen stuff in outer space and all that. That's when you're really acting. It's not just being real and having a conversation, and you really have to suspend your disbelief and totally commit to the world that you're in. Sci-fi is dangerous because it's like there's a monster coming to eat me. Okay, there's a monster coming to eat me. And then all of a sudden you see it, and it's like this little stupid thing. It's like I'm so overacting here. There's so much trust involved in that. But with the Western, man, you're just immersed in it. You look at yourself in that costume and you just go, I'm there, But it's interesting because I don't think, not every actor is cut out to be in Westerns. Some people are just sort of too contemporary. It feels like they're walking down a street in Cincinnati as opposed to, being in the Old West. So I think it takes a definite kind of, affinity, for that world. And it's so funny. I'm actually going to see Kiefer next weekend in Atlanta, and my buddy Tom Payne from Prodigal Son. But Kiefer, last time I saw him, he's going, "Why did I insist on getting killed? Oh, God damn it. I'm going to come visit. I'm going to come visit you guys."
I love the show Longmire, and I love the show. Absolutely. Clap for Longmire, yes.
It is a beautiful day at the Red Pony and continual soiree.
And the fact that, it delves into Native American culture. And, the changes of both, that show and then also with your co-star doing Dark Winds.
Zahn McClarnon. Amazing.
Yeah. And basically telling those Native American stories and those storylines that are coming out that are so deep and rich. I mean, are you seeing more of that and more opportunities?
Since the time, when it took somebody like me to play Chavez and, Young Guns, we have so many more Native and indigenous actors that have a name. And I'm incredibly grateful for that. And I can now say, I was raised as a military kid in Texas and whatnot, and you don't toot your own horn, you don't pat yourself on the back. But I can say that I opened the door to a lot of young actors of color, whether they're, indigenous or Latino, or even Asian, I've been proud to have forged the way for a lot of people who've come after me, and I'm really, really happy that they're telling those stories now and telling them authentically, and involving people not just in front of the camera but behind the camera as well. The writers and the directors, Sterling Harjo and a lot of those amazing people that are making sure those stories are told in the right way.
And the on-screen chemistry between you and Zahn and Longmire was absolutely wonderful. So
I adore Zahn. I mean, what a fantastic actor he is. I mean, and I could not be happier for his success. It's been great. But I mean, on Longmire, and he was already cast, but I was able to bring my friend Graham Greene in, Tantu Cardinal, Julia Jones. That's one of my favorite storylines of that. She plays the character Gab, who got raped, and that's why Henry has to become Hector after a while. Hector lives. Yeah.
You mentioned research, and you hosted World War II drama series, and you got to actually talk to military veterans. I mean, as a Navy brat, obviously you were around it, but just to hear those stories had been incredible.
Amazing. I mean, really amazing. And that's. I was the conduit for that, an officer in a movie, which I really wish they'd continued. But once again, budgetary reasons, they couldn't keep showing John Wayne black and white movies, which they could afford. They needed to be showing things like Platoon, or like Courage Under Fire that I did, But to talk to the real deal and go, is this for real or is this BS? And to get it was, talking to Captain Dale Dye, who was the tech advisor on Platoon. That was amazing. That was so good. We were talking movies or stuff that didn't work so well, and he goes,
Lou, being an officer and thereby a gentleman as well, I cannot say it sucked, but I can say that it inhaled deeply.
I always loved that.
Great advice from Lou Diamond Phillips. Let's give a hand for him.
I'll be back at the table, guys, so if you want to come by and say hi.